You're back on the air with Eric and Robin Gagnon. We are the restaurant brokers, and you're listening to We Sell Restaurants. We Sell Restaurants operates the largest restaurant brokerage company in the nation based on the number of listings, transaction count, and volume. We are franchising nationwide and have offices that are represented by two of the folks on the air with us today. John is joining us from Colorado, and Ken is joining us from South Florida. Gentlemen, thank you for being back on the air. Okay, so we've been talking about all kinds of things relative to the different marketplaces that each one of you operate in. Let's shift gears just a little bit, because one thing that I find so intriguing about your backgrounds is that both of you have worked in the restaurant industry and owned restaurants before you became a restaurant broker. So tell me a little bit about that. John, is there a single piece of advice that you give your buyers based on the background and experience that you have when they are getting ready to purchase a restaurant?
When they're getting ready to purchase a restaurant, what I try to give them advice in is I see some buyers come in and they have an idea of their concept that they want to do, no matter whether it's going to be successful with in their marketplace or not. So what I try to tell them is to talk to the people in the area, make sure they know the area, and I can help them with that. Make sure, like for instance, I've seen a buyer come in and I tried to give them advice on how to put a menu together that's going to provide value for their customers. They overpriced it with smaller portions. The restaurant was not successful. I tried to push them towards more, listening to their customers and doing what's right for the market. So just a lot of things where I see, mistakes that I can help buyers especially avoid when they are purchasing a restaurant and when it's actually operating, to make sure they're profitable.
Good. How about you, Ken?
Well, the two pieces, and I agree with everything John said. Two other pieces of advice I give people, especially when they're time coming into the restaurant business and we're negotiating a lease, I make sure that about an exit strategy. So if they are in an LLC or a corporation with a partner, they put in how can one partner get out, and also with the landlord, is the lease assignable to somebody else. The other thing I also do is I make sure that from day one they have a system of accounting for their records, so they know what they're going to do in terms of writing checks and recording deposits from day one. I see too many people coming into this industry. They're just taking the money. They're not recording it. It boggles my mind sometimes when I see people, like, you go in there, you meet with them to sell the restaurant, and they don't know what a profit and loss statement is or what any of the tax forms are, and they can't get value for the restaurant. So I try to show them going in how to keep their accounting records. So I try to set them up with an accountant from day one.
That's some good advice, Ken. I want to ask you guys, we see this here in the Georgia market. Robbie and I see it on a daily basis. Hey, you have a good empty space that used to be a restaurant on the corner of Main Street and Main Street. And the answer is no, all the time. What is the future? What do you see in the next 12 months as far as second generation space available in your marketplace? Are you going to see still plentiful of great space, or all this stuff has been picked out and we're going to be looking at new first generation full build out into the A+ markets? What are we looking at, John? What do you see out there?
There's not a whole lot of new build out. I think there's some great values in the second generation space. We're not building a whole bunch of more offices out here in Colorado, but there are, like I said, I just think there's going to be some great value out there where you have a lot of sellers looking to sell their space and that are ready to retire and turn it over to a new buyer to continue the success of the restaurant or put in a new concept.
How about you, Ken?
Well, the good second generation space has been picked over here, and most of the second generation spaces that are available now are B and C locations. Now, in terms of new build out, the housing market has really crashed back in 2007, 8, and 9, but it's coming back strong, and new developments are opening up all over the place. And as they're putting up these new developments, they're putting up new shopping centers and shopping plazas and regional malls, and you're seeing new build-outs in there, and we're getting brand new A+ locations in the area.
So, and let's don't assume everyone understands what that term second generation means. That's a restaurant that previously existed in that space, but went out of business for one reason or another and is now back on the market, available for lease, sometimes with some existing equipment, correct?
That's right, and a lot of time what you have is the infrastructure in place. You already have the right electrical, right HVAC, a hood, a grease trap. A lot of the infrastructure is ready for you to do so. It saves you hundreds of thousands of dollars in cost to get these space. That's why they're so highly coveted by a lot of people. But it's interesting because John says, hey, there's going to be some available to purchase. Ken said it's picked out. Robin, what do we see here in the Georgia market?
Oh, it's so competitive in the Atlanta marketplace, and really within the metro area, it's very, very competitive, and a lot of the good space is gone. And one advantage of working with a restaurant broker is many times we'll have a landlord approach us and whisper in our ear before someone is actually out of a space and it ever hits the marketplace, so that we know that it's available. So that's kind of a benefit of working with a restaurant broker directly that has great connections in the marketplace. But I would say there's limited availability for really super good space. Hey, we have time just for a quick, literally a drill between the three different marketplaces. I want to ask each one of you, Ken, if you can just give us a really short answer of, what are you projecting in terms of restaurant sales? Are you going to be up substantially, just up in general, or are you going to be flat or down for next year? And then I'm going to toss the same question to John, and then we'll answer for Atlanta before we get out of here. Ken, short answer. Are you going to be up substantially, just up, or flat or down next year in terms of restaurant sales?
I believe up just a little bit.
Okay. He's always hedging. What do you think, John?
I think up substantially. I just think there's what I see is a lot. Like I said, there's just a lot of people that have run successful restaurants for a long time and are ready to move on, and we're going to find some new buyers for them.
I agree. I think that Atlanta's going to be up substantially again, following on a really terrific year. So I want to thank both of the parties that joined us today, franchisees of We Sell Restaurants. And remember, you can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com. Please take a moment and like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/WeSellRestaurants. Follow us on Twitter at Sell Restaurants. And of course, we are on LinkedIn along with the rest of the world. We Sell Restaurants is your industry authority and source for information. We are the restaurant brokers, Eric and Robin Gagnon.